So, hello everyone. My name is Heather Craig. I believe that I've met most of you before who will be viewing this, but I'm the Sustainability Coordinator at the School of Medicine, and today I'm going to be talking to you about sustainable transportation at WashU, why sustainable transportation matters, what the benefits are, and then what your different options are specifically at WashU, but also in the St. Louis area. If my slides will work. There we go. So first, we're going to talk about why sustainable transportation matters. Um, Burning fossil fuels like gasoline and diesel releases carbon dioxide, which is a greenhouse gas, into the atmosphere. And greenhouse gas emissions from transportation account for about 27% of total U.S. greenhouse gas emissions, making it the largest contributor of U.S. greenhouse gas emissions. And more than half of those emissions are from light duty vehicles like cars, vans, and other passenger vehicles. So you can see here that carpooling, public transportation, and then you know, biking, walking, that sort of thing, those are all among the top 100 solutions to tackle climate change. It's also vehicular traffic is also a large contributor to poor air quality in cities, and it leads to increased premature deaths due to cancer, respiratory diseases, and other health issues. Researchers at the Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health released a nationwide study in 2021 finding that COVID-19 patients who lived in places with historically high levels of fine particulate matter pollution um, were more likely to succumb to the virus than patients who lived in communities with cleaner air. Just a slight increase in air pollution was associated with a 15% increase in the COVID-19 death rate, even after adjusting for factors such as smoking, poverty, and the number of available hospital beds. So they're, not just climate implications, but public health implications from our transportation habits. Next, I'm going to talk a little bit about the benefits of sustainable transportation more personally to yourself. The first being money. So you can save money by carpooling, biking, those sorts of things. Cars cost a lot more for maintenance, gas, parking, especially I'm sure everyone is familiar with parking on the WashU campus. Parking pass can cost, almost $1,000 a year. And then, $200 to $1,000 in gas, depending on how far you are driving into work, car depreciation, car maintenance, car insurance, all of those sorts of things save or, add up. If you're carpooling, obviously you're splitting all of those costs with someone. You're putting only half the amount of wear on your car, only paying half the amount of gas when it comes to work. And then if you take public transportation through WashU, it's free. And then, biking and walking are also much, much cheaper options. Also, personal health. You can get to campus with more energy and less stress. There are, people talk about the stress of being in traffic. I experience it myself. So, your biking commute or your public transportation commute, you won't be sitting in traffic in the same way. Obviously, if you bike or walk to campus, you can work towards your recommended 150 minutes of moderate aerobic activity a week. If you're carpooling, you have a friend that you can talk to and socialize for a little bit in the morning and after work and kind of debrief. And carpoolers tend to rate their commutes as less stressful. And then traveling by public transportation is actually much safer per mile than traveling by car due to car accidents, driver error, that sort of thing. I know that there are some perceived safety issues with public transportation, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a little bit. But it is actually much safer to take public transportation than traveling by car. And one of the things that I want you all to keep in mind as I go through some of the options that you have is that, we're never going to say, you have to take the metro every single day to be sustainable. It's important to remember that you have options and to find the mix that works for you. If it means taking the metro, one day a week, one day a month, that's better than not taking it at all. And then, there are days that carpooling makes sense, days where it doesn't. So I just want you all to keep in mind that, it's not one size fits all. So first, I'm going to talk about for what the options are at WashU and in St. Louis is public transportation. So for the Metro, all full-time students, staff, and faculty do get a free U-Pass as part of the benefits of working at WashU or studying at WashU. You do need to request a new one online each year. So it's not sort of like a rollover program where you don't need to think about it. You do need to request one. It's super easy, and then they mail it to you, or I believe you can choose to pick it up in person. And there's many bus stops across St. Louis. This is a map here. There's obviously the station on the Med campus that can take you to the airport, downtown, Brentwood, Clayton, lots of different areas. And then there are 2 stations at Danforth, one at North Campus and one at West Campus as well. So there's lots of connectivity around St. Louis. You can also take your bike on the bus or train. If you're taking the Metro bus, you put your bike on the front bike rack. And then to bring it onto the train, we have some tips here to wait until all of the other passengers have boarded or exited, going through the correct doors. You can see on the picture below either the first or the last entrance, it looks like. Only 2 bikes can be accommodated in each area. So just, take note of if there's other bikers in your space, and then stand with your bike and don't leave it unattended. A few tips for taking the Metro bus. I'm going to talk about the transit app a little bit more in just a minute, but you can use the transit app to find your best route and location. We suggest getting to your stop at least 5 minutes early and giving yourself some extra time just in case the bus is late. As the bus approaches, signal to the driver that you want to board so they know that you're, there with a purpose. And then make sure that the sign above the windshield or the door shows both your route number and destination. I know that this sounds like a lot of information to remember, but once you've done it once, it's a lot easier to keep all of this in mind. Once you enter the bus, you're going to swipe your U-Pass through the card reader, and then you'll show your WashU ID. And then to request a stop, pull the cord along the windows or press the strip. It depends on which bus you're taking, which of those options you'll take. For the Metro Link, you can enter and exit the Metro Link directly on the medical campus. It's really great that it goes, between the Danforth and the Med campus. I do this a lot when I go over to the Danforth campus for different events. It's two stops and then just a quick walk. You do want to make sure that you're on the correct side of the platform by looking at the signs, whether you're going towards Fairview Heights or Shrewsbury. And then you also want to check the line, red versus blue, and the direction. Again, I know this sounds like a lot, but once you do it once, you'll get the hang of it. Operators do announce each upcoming station, and there's also maps on each train car so you can see, where you are, how many stops you have left. And then we also recommend using the Metro in bad weather. It's easier and it's safer than driving with snow or ice or rain. Like I said, the Metro is safer per mile than car. And there are, like I mentioned, there are perceived safety issues with the Metro. Metro is aware of people having safety concerns, and they have increased security officers in trains, as well as people stationed at each station. So I've taken the Metro a few times in the past few months, and I've noticed that there's an increase in security, which has helped me feel safer when taking the Metro. So like I mentioned, there's this app called the Transit app. It's pretty easy to use. You just download it like a normal app. Launch Go for step-to-step navigation. It lets you know when to leave, what your estimated walk time is, when to change lines, when to get off. It also shows service alerts if there's, you know, service happening at an elevator at a station and you need access to an elevator. It lets you know that that's happening so that you know, okay, I can't take the metro today because the elevator's not available. It also sends notifications and reminders and real-time locations and arrival predictions. You can also use Google Maps. Some people are more familiar with Google Maps. I don't know off the top of my head if Google Maps includes those notifications, um, like I said about like elevator service or if a line is down or something. But you can also always check the Metro website as well. And if you're a planner, you want to know, I would recommend just checking a map and having an idea regardless. These things aren't perfect, but they are a really great resource to use. So next we're going to talk about biking. We are at the Med campus, a silver level bicycle friendly business, and the Danforth campus is a gold level bicycle friendly university. Um, the university has traditionally been a pedestrian campus, but we have been reorienting our infrastructure to accommodate users of various micromobility modalities. We've added miles of bike lanes on campus, specifically on the Danforth campus, but we've also enhanced connections with surrounding neighborhoods and developed new resources to make biking more convenient and safer, which I'll talk about in just a second. So at the med school, we have pedestrian and vehicular safety and education program. So this is really intended to educate both drivers and walkers on how to be safe on campus, to sensitize drivers that pedestrians and bikers are legitimate road users and they should always be expected. It shouldn't be a surprise to come up on a biker. And then educating pedestrians and bikers about minimizing risk to their own safety. And then developing program materials to explain and enhance the operation of crosswalks and signals. So as a motorist, a driver, what you should know, because even if you do, bike to work or take the metro to work, most people do drive. So this isn't just for campus, this is in general for us to know. Please be patient. You know, that people on their bikes are not trying to slow you down. They have somewhere to go to. I know that it's frustrating when you get stuck behind a biker and you're in a hurry, but chances are that they are too. Minimize your distractions while driving. So no texting, all of those things that you all know. Don't squeeze cyclists. So give a cyclist at least 3 feet of clearance. It will just take a minute or two, to wait until you have a bit more room to go around them. It's also important to remember that bicyclists pay taxes and they also have a right to the road. I know that we, as drivers, tend to feel like a sense of ownership, but bikers are also paying those taxes and there's bike lanes for a reason. And it's intended to be a shared resource, not just for cars. And then also to remember that cyclists are taking up one less parking space, one less place in line at the gas station. So they're actually taking stress off of you in those ways. And then also when you're getting out of your car, just making sure not to accidentally hit somebody that may be coming by if you're parked on a street. So some amenities and infrastructure that we have at WashU for bikers. We do offer free bike tune-ups for faculty, staff, and students. We normally do these about 4 times a year, 2 in the spring and 2 in the fall. And you can bring your bike. We bring a mechanic onto campus and they tune it up for free. It's a basic tune-up. So filling up your tires, greasing your chain, that sort of stuff. And then we also have this bike amenities map. I'll send out these slides and this link is in the slides. But this has a map, an interactive map of all of our biking facilities and amenities. So our showers, our covered and gated bike parking. where our bike fix-it stations are, refillable water stations, all of the stuff that makes it easy to bike to campus. And next, I want to highlight our after hours neighborhood shuttle program. Also, I want to say, sorry, going back to the bike amenities map, all of those things other than, bike parking and bike fix-it station, but the showers and the water apply to walkers as well. Walkers are, of course, able to use, we encourage them to use these facilities as well. So the after hours neighborhood shuttle program, this is through Protective Services. It runs Monday through Friday on the evenings and nights from 5 to 12 a.m. So if you are working on campus late, and especially in the winter, it is dark, you walk to campus in the morning, you don't feel as comfortable walking home when it's dark, you can take advantage of the after hours neighborhood shuttle program and get home safely. So this departs from 4444 Forest Park and Olin Circle every hour from 5 to 12, 5 p.m. to 12 a.m. Riders must have a valid WashU ID, and it serves these local neighborhoods in this map. You don't need to let them know ahead of time that you're coming. You just show up and can get on the shuttle, and then they'll take you door to your door, which is really great. But it is within these neighborhoods. Bikers can also do that. I don't know. I believe that the shuttle is big enough that you can bring your bike onto the shuttle, but I might need to come back and provide clarity on that. We also offer a guaranteed ride home program. So if something happens, the Metro goes down, or your bike, you get a flat tire on your bike on your way to campus and you can't get back home, we have this program, this guaranteed ride home program, and in case of an emergency, this program reimburses the commuter for 80% of the cost of the ride home, up to $60. So you can get an Uber or a Lyft home through this program if something happens. You do need to register online, and again, this link is in the slides, and I'll send these out. More information can be found at that link as well, or you can contact the Citizens for Modern Transit to learn more about this program. All right, the next, I'm almost done. The next option I'm going to talk about is ride sharing. So at WashU, we have a program that's called WashU Rides, which is a commuter platform that's internal to WashU. So nobody externally is going to see this information, but you post your home address and what campus you're going to in WashU Rides, and it helps you find a match, a carpool match or a bike pool match. And you put in which days that you commute as well as your normal times. And then it helps you find somebody that is in your area that you can commute with. You may not find a match at first. Obviously, more options will become available as more people join, which is, we're really trying to promote this program and even get people to just put in their commute. Even if you don't have somebody today, you might in 6 months, which, again, the more people who use it, the better a service that it is. You already have access to WashU Rides through your Woostle key. You just log in to activate your account, and the interactive map lets you view transportation-related items like commuter parking lots, bike lanes, transit stops, and more. Some people sort of use this as that transit app that I mentioned earlier. You can do a similar thing within WashU Rides. You can put in this thing and play with it and see, what stops you need to get off for your public transportation commute, that sort of thing. A lot of people use this for carpooling, but you can also use it for a bike pool or to find people to take public transportation with you. You can do this for a one-time trip or an ongoing commute, whatever works for you. But it's a really great resource if you want to try biking to campus or taking public transportation, but you're a little nervous to do it alone. You can find people through this to do it with you. You can also log your trips to track how much money and CO2 that you've saved by whatever form of commute that you take. how many calories you've burned, and how many non-single occupancy vehicle miles you've traveled. We also do occasional commute challenges for people who participate, so you can also win prizes for using this during those challenges. For carpool and van pools, there is carpool parking in the Clayton garage and on select surface lots. So this is sort of like an official carpool. If you want to find somebody through Wash-U Rides and just test out a carpool, and you don't, it's not like set in stone, that's totally fine. This carpool parking is designated for people who have a consistent carpool schedule that they want to register for. You register for this at the FIS desk, which is in MCC on the first floor. And the reason that people sign up for this like official carpool is because it makes you eligible for a guaranteed ride home reimbursement. This is a little bit different than the reimbursement that I talked about earlier for that reimburses you for up to 80% of the cost of the ride home. If you register for an official carpool, your guaranteed ride home program is a little bit different. It's subsidized one-way rides home from campus up to 4 per year in the event of an emergency. So it's fully covered up to $125, as opposed to the earlier one that's covered up to 80%. Eligible circumstances for this are sickness, unscheduled overtime, personal emergencies. So say if your carpool buddy had to leave early to pick up a sick kid from school, you would be able to still get home through the Guaranteed Ride Home program. You do need to register for this carpool service through Ride Finders. And I can send that link out when I send out these slides. And then there's also van pool options as well. So the last thing I'm going to talk about is smart driving. If you do still drive a single occupancy vehicle to campus, which basically just means it's you alone in a car, there are some options for how to drive smarter to make your driving more sustainable. The first being choosing an electric vehicle. Transportation accounts for 3/4 of the total US petroleum consumption, and electric vehicles have better fuel efficiency and lower fuel costs. They also have a lot less moving parts than a traditional vehicle, so they require a lot less maintenance than, a regular internal combustion vehicle. And they also have significantly lower emissions than internal combustion engine vehicles. So we know this isn't an option for everybody, but if you're able to utilize electric vehicles, we encourage you to. And there are also more funding options through the Inflation Reduction Act for personal electric vehicles. So there are some tax incentives currently for EVs. On the med school, we do have EV parking in the Clayton Taylor garage, and in the new NRB garage, you do need a permit, a specialized EV permit for those, but those options are available. And then for regular internal combustion engine vehicles, but even with EVs, there are things that can help you be more energy efficient in your driving. No idling. Idling just means like sitting with your car on. Obviously, that is still using fuel. We also encourage you to measure your tire pressure every month. Underinflated tires can increase fuel consumption and reduce the life of your tires as well. It's super easy to do. A lot of gas stations have like the little tire pressure readers that you can use. Don't carry unnecessary weight in your car. The less that it weighs, the less fuel you'll use. We encourage you to use air conditioning or heating conservatively. Those things can increase fuel consumption as much as 20% per drive. And then some cars you can like track your miles per gallon. And like kind of, my dad does this. He doesn't care a ton about sustainability, which is like the bane of my existence, but he thinks it's like a game to, try to get his fuel consumption down below a certain level while he's driving. So even though it's not for the reasons that I would want it to be, he has made like a little game of it for himself and tries to reduce his miles per gallon. You can also accelerate gently, avoid high speeds, and maintain a steady speed. For cruise control, unless you're in like a super hilly area, then cruise control isn't the best option. And then also combining your trips and errands and planning around rush hour traffic as well is a good use of your fuel. All right, so that is all I have. I encourage you all to look at all of the different options, find the mix that works for you, try things out. Nothing is set in stone. Um, and if you have questions after this presentation, you can find my email there.
Well,
All right.
I'd like to piggyback some things. I'd like some
Sure.
clarification and some questions.
Sure.
So first of all, to all the staff, I think this was a great presentation, and it's touching on several different areas that we could do our part with, volunteer or whatever. We would save a lot of money on parking. Those who do drive, obviously all the cost saving things, and we all know how much parking costs these days and gas. Um, Also, I have a question about the Wash U rides. When I
Mm-hmm.
went to their website or the little website on sustainability, it was bringing up this thing where it said sign up for Danforth employee carpool permit. So is Wash U rides available to the medical school campus staff employees?
Yes. Yes. Let me pull up the website so I can show you what it looks like.
Yeah, because the little, I don't know if it was a dated page but anyway, it was almost implying that you had to be Danforth.
No, you do
Okay,
not have to be
good.
Danforth.
Okay.
Let me pull it up and I'll reshare my screen. Okay, so this is, oh, my Zoom is being silly now. Okay, so this is Wash U Rides. You can just, Google Wash U Rides and we'll bring
Yeah.
you to this website. And then you can click here and
See
it
right at
will,
the top, do we have to be part of the or something? What is that?
no,
That's what I was,
nope.
no.
That's just an option for people,
Oh, I did. Okay, but med
yeah.
school employees and staff can use Wash U rides. Okay,
Yes.
well, that's
So
good.
you will
Now,
put,
should they use that more? I guess there's some terminology. So there's carpool, which kind of implies either you're riding with a friend or a family member, or you're going to something like Wash U Rides and trying to find like a partner to drive with,
mhm.
person.
So
Is that the best route, or
it's
should we also go to the mid-campus center, or?
it's totally up to you. Um, if you know of somebody who lives in your area and you want to carpool with them, then great. You don't need to use Wash
No,
U
I was
Rides.
I was meaning more, should we do the mid-campus, go to mid-campus and sign up there for carpooling, or should we use that Wash U ride?
So
Or is
Wash,
it just two options?
if you go to the Fisk desk, they will not do like a ride pairing
Oh,
situation.
okay.
So they won't find you somebody to ride with. I
So you're
would,
basically with that, just going and registering that you have somebody to get that ride home thing back?
correct, correct.
Okay,
So you
okay,
use Wash U Rides first to find
okay,
somebody to carpool with. And then
okay.
if you guys have you're like, this is working great. I love this. I want to keep doing this. Let's sign up for this carpool program so we can have that guaranteed ride home. Then you together would go and sign up at the Fisk desk.
Okay. And then I went to Ride Finders this morning, and it's great. They have a calculator and a breakdown of how it seems like they want at least 5 people. If somebody drives, they get more of a benefit. the farther you go. And so I guess it looks like, if I'm correct, even our hybrid, if they only do 2 or 3 times a week coming to campus, they can maybe get in a van pool, maybe? Is that correct?
So the van pool, I didn't touch on the van pool as much, just because there's not as much interest in the van pool. But the
Oh,
van
okay.
pool is a program through Ride Finders where you have I think it might be 5 people sign up and you actually get a van through Ride Finders. And you take that van to and from work. And I
Okay.
believe that they pay for the maintenance of the van, whatever.
Yeah, and I think if I read correctly on their website, WashU offers them a free parking spot.
Right,
So the driver doesn't have to pay. He gets a little gas card, but it's his responsibility to take care of the making sure he gets maintenance, the gas, and I guess keeping track of the people that are riding it. And
right.
I used to know people that did van pool, but maybe that's not as popular as it once was. I'm not sure.
There has been one van pool at the med school ever, I think, just because it's hard to find a consistent group of people who come to campus on the same days at the same times. Yeah, but and
Yeah,
they have,
I found the one from Union, Missouri, and that's the one that the person I knew about used to ride.
yeah.
And then I used to know somebody who did it one from Sullivan,
Oh, okay,
Missouri. Yeah.
okay.
So to piggyback a lot of what Heather was saying, the Metrolink is and the Metro bus, they also have a phone number you can call. So if you're a real novice, I've used that before because they've changed the routes. You'll learn a route, and then all of a sudden they'll update and change the routes on you. That app is great. I actually personally like the old Trip Finder better because it actually gave each last stop. So
Hmm.
if you went out to the county or some area you weren't used to, but it's still a good resource. And then they still have the WashU Gold bus line, correct?
I don't know.
So so I think it's still there. I've seen it when I come to campus. Um, right at the Central West End Metrolink station, there's a bus center. And
Hmm.
that in most places now, they're through the region, they're doing bus centers where when you do a route, they're going to take you to a bus center more times than not, and then back to the Metrolink. But there is a WashU Gold line that goes to Malincrot on the hilltop. So if somebody lives in the neighborhood around De Bolivar and such, that's a good route to take. A lot of the WashU students ride that line for that reason alone. They can go from the Med Campus Hilltop and still live there, and vice versa. If they live there and they want to come to the Med Campus without trying to get to the Metrolink. Another thing people should really think about if they live close to a Metrolink parking area where they can commute. I know people that do that, so that's something to think about.
Yes, so I live in South City and don't have a ton of options near me, but there is the Metro Shrewsbury
Yes, yes,
parking center, so I can drive there and then take the Metro all the way in.
yes. And one of our employees, I know she does that. I know a few people that have done the ones farther out in some around Tower Grove coming up using the Grand Center Metrolink, that one Metrolink that's there on Grand Avenue. Um, what was I going to say? So that's so good. Van pooling, so they go through ride finders, they can register at MCC. Try to take advantage of URISE, even if you just want to track your being green and your mileage,
Mhm.
correct? And
Yep.
all that.
Hmm.
Okay. And if you want to try to get a carpool buddy that you don't seem to have. And then also if you register at the MCC, you can probably you can maybe get that ride home benefit.
Right.
Okay, that's good. And then
And
at the Metro, that Metro, what was the one where that was the Metro that they got a benefit to the ride home?
yes, so there are two guaranteed ride home programs.
Yeah.
The one for the certified carpool that you register at the
Oh, yeah,
FISC
yeah.
desk for, that is 100% reimbursement. But if you take other sustainable forms of commute, then you are still eligible for a guaranteed ride home covered up to 80%. So
And you
that's the
register
two
with and
difference.
you register with that at where now again?
You don't, or you need to register online. Let me pull my slides back up. I think
Okay.
it's through the Citizens of Modern Transit.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I get their, oh, I should know that because I get their newsletter.
Let
Okay.
me-
I got another question for you. Do you know, and I think they do this for special events and they've done it for graduation, the West Campus, that Metrolink stop,
Mhm.
uh, can people park there and get to the Danforth campus for just by just, can they park free at those lots there? And then go, where the old famous bar building was? And
I'm
I think
not
still had
sure.
washing offices there.
I'm not sure. I know that I have tried parking there and I haven't had access to park there.
Oh,
Um,
oh, okay.
so I'm not sure.
Okay, because we do have a few students too that we can tell.
Mhm.
So that's not my next big question. So employees have access to all this. Um, can the students use Wash U rides? Can they use
Yes.
the van? Well, I don't know if they'd want to use the van pool,
Not the
but
van pool, but wash
not
your
the van
rides.
pool, but they
Yes.
can do Wash U rides, right?
Yes.
And we all know that everyone, faculty, staff, and students all get the Metrolink pass, which is awesome. That's good for buses and trains, light rail is light rail. And like you said, they have to just register once a year. So students can use the Wash U rides, correct?
Yes. Correct.
So that'd be in the showers and all that's great.
Yes.
Um, so you have a link in those slides to where the bike racks are, right? Because
Mhm.
that unfortunately has been an issue on campus of bike theft.
Yes. So I didn't highlight this in my biking slides, but yes. So we encourage you to park in the gated bike parking. Only a Wash UID can access that. And then even if you're in a gated bike parking area, we encourage you to use a U-lock, which it is one of those metal ones that has the metal bar and it's like a U, rather
Okay,
than the like flexible ones. Those are a lot easier to cut. Um, and there's a higher rate of theft with those sorts of locks. But if you have the metal U-lock,
okay.
and students can get those at a discounted rate through Danforth Protective Services.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now, and then does that map show where those gated bike racks are on campus? Okay, good.
Yes. Yep.
Good, good. And then another thing that I take advantage of, both when I was working at the office and remote, is okay. So they do have that shuttle that, like you said, you go at the designated times, like Olin Circle or Forest Park, and they'll pick you up. They usually check an ID and ask who
Hmm.
you
Yeah.
are. You do have to stay within that mapped area, but there's also that you can call security direct and they have a van, so you have to call them. And then also they're real firm. It has to be within their little area.
Hmm.
I'm just on the outskirts where I'm on here on Lindell. Um, and they will pick you up either by a van or a car, but it's depending on first come, first serve. And then also, what's great for employees, if you're parking in a garage or even a farther out garage, they will take you to the garage as well. They'll
Hmm.
take you to other build as long as you're on the medical campus, they will take you to like children's. If you have to go to the Forest Park building, they'll even take you to physical therapy. So say, and they just moved physical therapy just a little bit farther down by I think around more Cortex.
Hmm.
So that's something for people to think about. And students can use that too, students and staff. So you can either, if you live close to campus, you just call them. And as long as you're within their boundary, they might want to look at your ID or verify who you are. Another thing on the Metrolink, make sure you always have your ID and pass because they do check. And unfortunately, if they feel like it, they will give you a ticket that's quite expensive.
Yes, that's a very good point. Make
So
sure
I
you
had
have
a
your
I had a
U-Pass
boss
in.
once in a suit and a briefcase, and they still gave him a $75 ticket.
Yeah.
So, uh, also if you're with a friend or whatever reason, maybe you don't have your ID or whatever, make sure you always have a fare. Is what I'm trying to say
Hmm.
on that bus. They'll check. They'll do sporadic fare checks. I know you showed a slide for it, but on the buses, the bus has a bike rack in front. So I think it could accommodate one, maybe two, some, I think I've seen as many
I
as
think
two
two.
before on there. Yeah. And then also most buses, not all, have, if there's anybody who's physically challenged, they can make their bus go down a little bit to the street level. So if you have, if we have any students or faculty or staff that are wheelchair or accessible issues, then you can ride that on the bus. Metrolink is pretty much flat with the. The Metrolink and some of the buses do go over to Illinois, but it's very limited. And that's another thing to think about when you're on the Missouri side. Pretty great in the city of St. Louis, but when you go out to the county, it just depends where you're going. So you definitely want to use that ride finding app or call them to see if it's going to your destination. So, and another thing to use all these different options besides being green and healthy and saving the environment is, we were told recently that parking is becoming more and more limited on campus, and they're encouraging more people to try these other options, as well as, some of the people that are hybrid to maybe stagger your days, change them.
Mhm.
So not everybody's using all those parking spots at once to maybe alleviate some of that. So think of
Yes,
that.
the parking lots are the most full Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Another thing, so we were back and forth about our trash cans in the office.
Oh, I'm
So
gonna go
we have,
ahead
yeah,
and
go ahead, I'm sorry.
I'm gonna end the
Okay,
sustainable transportation
okay,
if you're good
okay.
with that.
Yeah, fine,
Okay,
great.
cool. Well, thank you, everyone. If you have any questions, please contact me at heathercraig@hcraig@wusel.edu.